Everybody out there, this is Seto, and today guys we're going to be talking about mirror matches. And are playing mirror matches a sign of how skillful a player is? Now, I'm pretty much going to take two sides of the coin. Many people have said that no, it's not a good indicator of how skillful a player is, and many people have said yes, it is a good indicator of how skillful a player is. Me personally, I will admit that I'm a little biased to this because I personally believe it does show some indication of how skillful a player is. But I'm going to be playing devil's advocate here and showing some reasons of why it may not be a great indicator of showing how skillful a player is. And then on the opposite side of the coin, we'll show some reasons why it is a good indicator of how skillful a player may be. So let's play the reasons why it may not be a good indicator. You open up broken. You open up the bee's knees, the best thing ever. I mean, think about that. And your opponent just gets a brick hand. They don't get a good hand, but you get all the plays for days. You can just go, I can do this, 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 and this, and your opponent's just like, ugh, I got all 5 of these cards and they just don't work together. They don't gel together. I can't do anything. And you proceed to just clobber them to death. That is something that's very true. And granted, some mirror matches are just straight out not really skillful. Think about it this way, and this is a good example, I think, or an extreme, maybe you would say. Dark Worlds versus Dark Worlds, where pretty much it just gets ridiculous. Believe me, if you've played a Dark World mirror match before in your life, it just gets plain ridiculous. It's just like, oh gosh, it's just the craziness, especially when you first don't know that your opponent's playing a Dark World deck. Then it gets crazy. Believe me, I can personally say that. So I could say that either you open up brokely or just some decks in the mirror match, they're just not really a good indicator, period, I believe, personally, of how skillful a player is. Now let's flip to the other side of the coin now. Why is it a good indicator? Well, first off, I think it's a good indicator of, if not anything, how skillful you are as a player, but how well you know your deck, personally. I can say that from personal experience. Let's just use the Gravekeepers for example, because I've been playing Gravekeepers for a long time. If you played a deck for a long time and you know all its combo plays, you know your deck, you know how to play with it, you've faced against many matchups before, then you know how to play the mirror match very well, because you can get inside your opponent's head and say, if I was him right now playing Gravekeepers, I would do X, Y, and Z. It's a good indicator because many times I'll play against another Gravekeeper, like my friend Reggie who plays Gravekeepers, and he'll put a card face down. Now, any other player usually I've seen play against mirror matches, they'll be like, oh, it's Gravekeeper's Spy. But I know from playing Gravekeepers that sometimes it's not Gravekeeper's Spy. It can be Gravekeeper's Guard, it can be Gravekeeper's Recruiter, it can be a half a dozen other different things. It doesn't always scream, Spy, Spy, Gravekeeper's Spy. And I know that from personal experience, when most likely, optimally, you're going to see that card on the field then and there. So, knowing your own deck, you can use that skill, I guess, to some extent, to know what your opponent's probably going to do, what they're thinking, what they're going to play with. I think to that sense, it is a very good indicator of how skillful a Yu-Gi-Oh player is in the mirror match. Another good indicator of how it could be, mirror matches can be a good indicator of how skillful a player is card resources. Using your card resources to the most optimal advantage. So, say we're playing against a, I guess we'll use like a pendulum deck. You use your MST at the right time. You use your cards at the right time. You use your card resources at the right time. Many people have said that Dragon Ruler format was a very skillful format. To some extent, I will agree with that. To some extent, I won't agree with that fully, and to some extent, I will agree with it to some extent. But I think when you're playing Dragon Rulers, it was kind of in some regards, I know I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but in some regards, they had to use their resources wisely. You couldn't just go willy-nilly here and there. Granted, it was very easy to see when you were playing against an E-Dragon player that knew what he was doing, and just somebody that was playing E-Dragons because they were considered the best deck of the format. If you play in that format, I mean, I played in that format, I didn't personally play E-Dragons, but I saw enough mirror matches to pretty much tell when you were playing against a good E-Dragon player and who was the noob E-Dragon player and the person that knew what they were doing. It's in some instances some mirror matches are like that. But I think each deck and its mirror match depends upon the player, it depends upon their build, it depends upon a whole bunch of things. So that's just my thoughts on mirror matches. The reasons why it may not be considered a skillful thing a good skillful indicator in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And why it may also be a good indicator of how skillful a player is. And I'll leave it up to you, the viewers and subscribers, to make some decisions, talk it out in the comment section. I can't wait to see what you guys think on this topic. Do you personally think that mirror matches are a good indicator of how skillful a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player is? Like I said in conclusion to this video, I think it's a good indicator of how well you know your deck. That way, you know what your opponent is thinking. You can think a step ahead of them. You can say, if I was in his shoes, what would I do? And until next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling to all of you out there. And Seto Kaiba, I'm out of here, guys. Till next time. Take care, everybody.